Good, happy Monday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Monday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Monday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, Manchester man held without bail after man injured in alleged road rage shooting. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Most people can name the food on their plate, but can they do it blindfolded?
Almost tastes like arugula.
Maybe not chicken. This pork chop?
Things are gonna heat up on Blind Kitchen. Stream it for free only on Very Local.
Well, Steve, the suspect in this case, 28-year-old Jean Carlos Medina Correa, asked for an evidentiary hearing. That was granted, and it'll happen next month. But until then, Correa is to remain behind bars. Now, Correa actually waived a formal arraignment in court this afternoon, and a not guilty plea was entered on his behalf. But due to the nature of the crime, prosecutors asked he be held in jail on preventative detention. Now, according to the court affidavit, Correa fired 2 shots at another vehicle in an apparent road rage incident at the intersection of Elm and Bridge Streets in Manchester Saturday night. Documents say another vehicle had cut him off, and Correa started yelling at the other driver. That other driver yelled back, prompting Correa to follow him and even pull out a handgun. Correa eventually turned onto a different street, but before doing so, he waited for another vehicle to pass and then fired 2 rounds into the victim's car. The victim sustained life-threatening injuries and remains at Catholic Medical Center tonight recovering. Now, Correa's attorney says he was actually acting out of self-defense and says that the affidavit does not present all of the facts in this case. Again, a judge granted them an evidentiary hearing. That hearing will be held in August, but again, until that point, Correa is to remain behind bars. We're live in Manchester tonight. Scott Cook, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Three months after Concord couple killed, search for answers continues. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
April 18th, the day investigators say Stephen and Wendy Reed, a couple in their 60s, went for a walk on a trail near the Alton Woods apartment complex where they lived. Their bodies were found 3 days later on the Marsh Loop Trail off Portsmouth Street. Autopsies revealed the couple had been shot to death.
Well, it's scary because this used to be a really safe neighborhood, and for that to happen here is not good.
The surrounding trails were closed down for several days while police searched for clues and increased their presence in the area.
We take public safety very seriously in Concord. We are dedicating resources to be more visible in the community, to make people feel safer.
The FBI got involved, and officials told us at the time just how unusual a case this was.
Our 30-plus year average for homicides is around 19 a year, and if you check with the medical examiner's office, you'll learn that in any given year, probably anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 people die a year in New Hampshire.
Investigators continued searching the area with high visibility patrols, and about a month later, the Attorney General's office and Concord Police released a sketch of a person of interest. He's described as a white male in his late 20s or early 30s, about 5 feet and 10 inches tall, with a medium build and short brown hair.
He was seen at that time wearing a dark blue jacket, possibly with a hood, khaki-colored pants, and was described as carrying a black backpack.
In early June, investigators began searching for a car that had been parked near where the Reeds were killed, but later announced it was not connected to the case.
And investigators say they've received hundreds of tips about this, and now there's a $50,000 reward being offered for any information leading to the arrest and indictment of whoever's responsible for the Reeds' deaths. We're live in Concord. Hannah Cotter, WMUR News 9.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Answers still sought after inadvertent alarm activation at Seabrook nuclear plant. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Walmart, America's largest, is hiring. Earn $23.55 to $28.10 per hour plus benefits. Working at Walmart's Raymond Distribution Center. 50 full-time positions available. Apply today online or text DC to 240-240. Walk-ins welcomed.
Congressman Chris Pappas is calling on the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for a thorough, efficient public review after 9 emergency sirens were mistakenly sounded at the Seabrook nuclear power plant last Tuesday. Many concerned it took too long for the false alarm to be confirmed. An event notification report on the NRC website says siren activation happened at 10:51. Local authorities have been notified and that no press release was planned. NextEra Energy, that operates the plant, saying that day that it was inadvertent during a siren test, that it is investigating to make sure it doesn't happen again. In addition to a letter NextEra sent to the governor Friday, its CEO responding to U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen, saying in part they regret the impacts of the false alarm and that they're committed to enhancing notification to state and local agencies as well as elected officials. Shaheen saying today, I'll continue to engage with NextEra leadership as well as the NRC to see that there is full transparency into what triggered the alarm and what measures will be put in place to prevent another occurrence and improve communication. Meantime, as News 9 reported Friday, we're learning more from 2 local officials who met with plant management. They cite human error, communication, and technology.
We sat down for close to 2 hours and presented a myriad of questions. The takeaway, the technology in use in many of our nation's nuclear power facilities are 50 years old.
That NextEra spokesperson in Florida would not confirm any of what Janet Stevens or Seabrook Town Manager Bill Manzi had to say. As for public statements, they stand by the one that they issued 6 days ago. We're live on the coast. Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire school test scores begin to recover from pandemic drop. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Grade school plus COVID equals a difficult learning environment.
But we certainly disrupted the learning for students as a result of COVID.
As students switched to online learning, some parents watched their kids' grades take a hit.
He originally went to the school system in Manchester here, and then we transitioned to the Derry school system, and I definitely saw a drop in his test scores in relationship to reading especially.
My oldest, no. She can test anywhere. It doesn't matter if she's in a classroom at home. She does very well. Our middle, though, has an IEP, so it was very difficult for him to learn online.
In 2021, New Hampshire saw all its 3rd through 8th graders' performance levels drop in math and English. Half of the performance levels dropped by at least 10 points, the worst being 7th grade math, dropping 13 points from 2019 to 2021.
The drop-off in New Hampshire was not as severe as it was in many other states.
However, there's some improvement. From 2021 to 2022, half of the performance levels in math and English went up. 2 stayed the same, and 4 got worse.
So his scores have gone up. They just haven't gotten to where they need to be.
But yes, once they went back to in-person learning, huge difference.
We've seen a degree of improvement. We still have a ways to go.
Idle Blue said that the way to get back to pre-pandemic numbers starts inside a classroom with the teacher and bringing extra support to the students, like their Yes Every Student program that provides every family in the state up to $1,000 worth of tutoring. And if you're interested, you can find a link to that on our website and mobile app. In studio, Troy Lynch, WMUR News 9.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Crews battle fire at downtown Manchester building that houses well-known restaurant and apartments. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Hi. Hi, it's Happy Car from the New Car family of dealerships. Follow me around New England. We have 28
Stephen, worst of the fire is under control and firefighters head out a little after 4. But take a look. You can see some of the debris still left over from that fire. And the Manchester Fire Department reports there was extensive damage to the restaurant on the inside. Firefighters initially got the alert about the fire at about 1:15 this afternoon. When they arrived, they found a lot of smoke and discovered flames in the kitchen. They say they had the flames contained at about 2 this afternoon, but were on the scene until a little after 4, clearing the smoke and getting elevated carbon monoxide levels under control. The battalion chief tells us the apartments above the restaurant are not damaged, but did have a lot of smoke inside.
Finding the scene of the fire was extremely difficult, so that's why we've struck a second alarm, because guys were in there a little longer than they usually are.
And we're still waiting to learn how the fire started. As we get updates, we'll bring them to you both on air, online, and on our mobile app. Live in Manchester, Grace Feinerman, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Jury selection begins in Steve Bannon's contempt trial. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS News.
Well, back here in Washington, jury selection is underway in the criminal trial of Steve Bannon, a former advisor to then President Donald Trump. Bannon is charged with 2 counts of criminal contempt of Congress for refusing to comply with a subpoena from the January 6th committee. We get more now from CBS's Nicole Killian.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for showing up.
Steve Bannon waved to the cameras entering federal court Monday. Inside, the former White House strategist sat mostly masked with his hands clasped during jury selection. The former Trump advisor faces 2 counts of contempt of Congress, each carrying a penalty of up to a year in jail after defying a subpoena from the January 6th committee.
It's nothing but a show trial.
Committee members say they're still open to hearing from Bannon, who recently offered to testify.
If he wants to give us his information, we're eager to get it.
Of interest to the committee are 2 phone calls Bannon had with former President Trump on January 5th, when he offered this warning.
All hell is going to break loose.
In a primetime hearing Thursday, the panel will focus on the 187 minutes of the Capitol siege, describing the former president's inaction as a dereliction of duty. It has also subpoenaed records from the Secret Service after the agency acknowledged some text messages from January 5th and 6th may have been deleted.
It's hard to believe that you would go forward in a transition. You do a factory reset of the phones of agents and not back up the data. I mean, who does that?
A watchdog group said the agency likely broke the law by deleting the text.
What is pretty rare is that government records that are within the nexus of a congressional investigation go missing.
The Secret Service says it has been cooperating with the Select Committee since last year. Agency officials tell CBS News it will comply with this latest subpoena and turn over the requested data as soon as tomorrow. Nora?
Interesting if we learned something, Nicole Killian. Thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. That does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great evening. Good night, goodbye.